Now, you might have noticed that my car is buggered. What's going on, guys? Now today, the video I've got for you isn't the video I originally had planned for this week, but I've got a video for you nonetheless. It's just not quite as exciting as what I'd hoped for this week. I've been having trouble getting some of the parts and some of the supplies I need to make the video that I really want to make. If you look closely, you might be able to see what I'm up to. But instead, what I've got for you is three, what I'd like to call mini mods. I've got a couple of little additions and one removal, but they're probably things that don't quite deserve their own video. So I thought I'd whack them all in today to keep you guys entertained. Now, while I suppose you could say they're all styling mods, they're all still functional, or at least solve a problem or issue that I'm having. It's currently Wednesday evening, and only one of the things that I plan to fit in this video has actually turned up at this point, and I'm hoping to get this video out for Friday. And the first thing we're going to be fitting is some Climair wind deflectors. Here in Wales, today's the only dry day we've had in weeks. The weather's been horrendous, even though it's starting to get warmer. But you can't really drive around with your window open while it's raining. But you can with wind deflectors. And they should also help to reduce the wind noise when the windows are open. Now, I've used Climair deflectors in the past, and based on my experiences last time, I wouldn't use anything else. They're so easy to fit, you don't need any special tools, they slide right in, and you don't need any stupid clips to hold them in place either. Once they're in there, they ain't budging. But the instructions do say that to help these slide in a little bit easier, you can use a little bit of washing up liquid just along this milled edge. Then it's just a case of slotting this into the outside window channel, starting with this bottom corner nearest the wing mirror. Then you want to bend the deflector slightly and fit this edge into the top corner. And at this point, the deflector's bowed out like this. Then you want to work your way up and along the deflector, lifting it down slightly, underneath this rubber edging, and locating it just like that. And it's that easy. Now, you want to make sure the deflector's pushed up as far as it can go into the window channel, just to make sure you don't have any clearance issues with the window when you wind it up. But as you can see, this is sat in there and that is not coming out. Like, there is no way that that is budging. And then the instructions say that you should wind the window up in steps, bring it up, lower it down, bring it up a little bit further each time, about 5 times until this thing's fully located and the window is fully up. You may find the window struggles a bit at first, but once you get it fully located, you won't have a problem. It then says to leave the windows up for a full 24 hours to make sure these things don't budge and that they're seated properly. So that's the wind deflectors fitted, and I think they look great. I'm sure they'll work great as well, but I'll find that out tomorrow after these things have had a full 24 hours to make sure they're seated in the right place. People are probably going to say, well, why don't you just use your aircon? But come on, guys, this is my car. You know the aircon doesn't work. And speaking of things that don't work, here comes my incredibly annoying older brother, who spends all of his time on Honda forums talking to other idiots about how VTEC is real, but nobody believes them. Like some sort of automotive flat earth society. Are you finally getting around to telling him about this rear wiper that doesn't work? Yeah, the wiper. What's that supposed to mean? It means get lost. Mum and Dad always said you were the weird one. Can I use your computer? Okay, but don't go posting any more Honda propaganda on my Instagram. Christ, I just can't get any peace with him about. He is right though, this rear windscreen wiper is buggered. It's been stuck all half-cocked like this for a couple of weeks now, but even before that, it never really even sat on the windscreen properly at all. I've thought about just replacing the motor, but I've been driving around without it for a good couple of weeks now, and it has been tipping it down almost every day, and I've realised I don't really need it. So we're going to be removing it and replacing it with this. And this is a rear wiper blanking kit or delete kit from killallwipers.com. Make sure you code the wiper out of the car's ECU if it's a delete. I'll delete you in a minute. I mean, he is right. I don't really know why they call things like that a delete, but nevertheless, this needs to go, so let's get it gone. So there's just a 13mm nut holding the wiper arm to the motor. And then 3 screws holding the interior boot trim to the inside of the boot. Then it's just a case of removing a wiring connector, undoing these 3 bolts, and then the motor can be removed. Oh, and you also need to remove this rubber grommet from the outside. Then I'm just going to give the glass a quick clean. And it's important to try and get the inside edge of this glass because the blanking plug on this kit for these cars seals on the inside of the windscreen. You push it through from the back. So it's important to make sure you get a good seal, so you want to clean the inside of that. really well. So in the kit, we've got some instructions, we've got our blanking plug, we've got some sealant and an applicator to apply it to the blanking plug. We want to apply the sealant to the plug, making sure we get nice even coverage. Now, I've seen a lot of people do this before, and one thing I've noticed is that sometimes they probably don't use as much sealant as they maybe should around here, and you do get gaps that are visible from the outside of the window. It's important to make sure you get a good amount of sealant on here to make sure that it fills in all the gaps and you don't have any like air pockets or anything like that. Don't use it all up on the plug though, because you will need a little bit on the outside to fill in any gaps sort of from the outside edge to make sure this gives a really good seal. And then there's a slot just behind this piece of trim. Then feed the plug into that slot and use a flat blade screwdriver to help you position it in place. Then you can check from the outside that it's pushed all the way in, is sealed right up against the glass. And if you've used plenty of the sealant, you should see it oozing out around the sides. The instructions say to use tape to hold this in place from the back, but this feels like it's in there pretty solid and I don't think I'll need to on this occasion. They also say to use this thin applicator just to apply sealant to any fine little crevices that it may not have pushed through all the way. It then says to wipe away any excess immediately, making sure that you support the plug from the back and that you don't push it through. I'd advise you have some sort of solvent, like some label cleaner or something like that, just to help you remove any excess sealant. And then just give it another firm push from the back to make sure you haven't dislodged it at all. And then we're pretty much done. I still need to remove the protective film off this, but we'll do that in a little while. But for now, we're gonna get on to the final thing that I wanted to fit in this video. And that is a sunstrip. Now, you might have noticed that my clothes have changed, and that's because it's not just the following day, it's actually the following day of the following week. I've been waiting so long for these parts to arrive, specifically the sunstrip. In fact, that still hasn't arrived. This is one I got from my local motor parts store. Had to go and get that today after work. But I promise you I get a video out for you Friday. Granted, that was last Friday, but you're gonna be getting it this Friday, because when I say I'm gonna deliver, I deliver.
Like a postman with Tourette's.
So the first thing we're gonna do is clean the windscreen. Then I'm going to mark the bottom of where I want the film to sit with masking tape. Spray the windscreen down with soapy water. And apply the film. Then it's just a case of squeegeeing out any air bubbles. And then trimming off any excess. Which can then be removed. And we can squeegee out any last remaining creases and tuck these edges up under the rubber seal of the window. And that is the sunstrip done. Now we can remove the protective film on our rear wiper delete kit. And look at that looks so good. I'm just gonna give this a quick clean. And there we go, that looks so much cleaner now. It's a shame the rest of the car isn't clean, but hopefully I'll get around to that this weekend. And there we go, that's 3 quick little styling mods. I'm sorry it wasn't that exciting, but next week I've definitely got something much more exciting for you. I'm not sure if you'd have noticed in this video what I'm doing, but it's not something on the outside of the car. That's all I'm gonna say right now, but for this video it's time to end. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Just quickly, some of you may have noticed, this isn't actually a sunstrip. This is actually window tint. It's meant for the interior of the car. The sunstrip didn't turn up in time, so I had to get this instead. Sometimes you got to work with what you got. Anyway. And you forgot to reinstall the boot trim. Anyway, see you next week.